KREM 2 News at Noon begins now.
Flu season continuing to ramp up here in the inland Northwest. How a local hospital is doing to try to prevent it from spreading even more.
And it seems like it's been foggy all day long, and for some it has. We'll have the latest on how much longer the fog's going to stick around today and tomorrow.
And the decision is up in the air since the Supreme Court heard arguments on Idaho's transgender athlete ban. Coming up, we'll take a look at what they discussed yesterday. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us here on KREM 2 News at Noon. I'm Laura Papetti, and we begin with this. Heading outside to talk about weather with Thomas Patrick. Thomas, exactly as you said this morning, there was fog everywhere, temperatures much cooler than they had been a day ago. So those two things really telling the weather story today.
Yeah, exactly. And they are not just two sides of the same coin. It is two weather factors that come married together. We have what's called a temperature inversion in the region. That happens commonly at night, where it gets colder the lower in elevation you go. The thing is, that layer of cold, dense air also holds the fog and the cloud cover at the same time. The sun's going to try to erode that away from the top down and really struggling to do so because it is a winter sunshine. So really, I've extended our weather impact alert for this afternoon because it's still quite foggy in many regions. Check this out. The airport's still reporting near zero visibility as it has been since 8 a.m. That's 4 straight hours of less than a quarter-mile visibility. Still at 1/4 mile visibility in Coeur d'Alene, a lot of foggy conditions. As for our outdoor weather center, I would say this is about half-mile visibility, faring a little bit better than out towards Airway Heights, but not by much. You can certainly tell that this low cloud cover just doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. And that cold weather isn't either. It's still 32 degrees. We will not climb above that if this fog doesn't depart. But you might spy where it's much warmer, where there is no fog. 48 on the Palouse, a difference of 16 degrees, just one county to the south. It was never foggy in Pullman, and you're in for another fantastic day, just like it was yesterday. So there's that fog over Coeur d'Alene, same in Spokane, but in Pullman, you're off the hook for the fog for today and tomorrow.
All right, my friend, thank you. Well, flu season is continuing to get worse here in the inland Northwest, and the local hospital is working to limit the spread of the virus. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones spoke with Providence Sacred Heart about what they are seeing and what they're doing this season.
Yeah, well, right now there's about two sides of the trends here when it comes to flu season. This time last year, the numbers were much higher, but over the last month or so, we're starting to see those numbers gradually rise for respiratory illnesses. And since we're in the thick of winter right now, local health officials, they're always monitoring these cases, trying to do anything they can to just mitigate and prevent any further spread of any of these respiratory illnesses. So at Providence Sacred Heart, over the next at least few weeks, what they're going to be doing is having some policies here in place. Right now, visiting hours, they've been limited now to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. if you have to go and visit the hospital. And then as of this week, visitors under the age of 18 are not allowed in various departments throughout Providence clinics and hospitals. Officials tell us there are exceptions and to check in with local hospital staffing about those exceptions. Also, if you're taking a trip or visiting anyone in the hospital, you'll have to follow the current masking guidelines in place.
Sure, our trends are mirroring national trends. It's starting to peak, and we're probably about 3 or 4 weeks away from our peak in Washington State, but we're hitting a percentage of emergency department visits that are being diagnosed as influenza that leads us to want to protect our patients within the hospital as well as our staff, which is why we've started our masking policy.
Also, according to the Spokane Regional Health District, as mentioned, flu numbers are lower right now, but again, over the last month, they've seen those numbers start to rise. So remember, you can do things to help prevent the spread as well, simply as washing your hands. And then also, if you're feeling sick, stay home. That also helps to prevent any spread of illness. For now, though, reporting here in Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
No ICE! No KKK! No fascist USA!
So that was from the walkout we reported at noon yesterday. More than 1,200 students across 6 Spokane high schools participated. They were walking out against ICE. Students joined protests from Lewis and Clark, North Central, Ferris, St. George, and Mount Spokane, as well as Gonzaga Prep. It was organized by Spokane Students for Human Decency, and they say they wanted to show the community that the younger generation is ready to make a stand. All right, the Justice Department does not believe there is evidence to back a criminal investigation into the ICE officer who fatally shot Renee Good in Minneapolis. This announcement comes after at least 6 federal prosecutors in Minnesota resigned after facing pressure from the Trump administration. A source says the prosecutors were being told to focus their investigation on the actions of Good, her widow, and others who may have been involved in ICE protests rather than focus on the officer's actions. And also right now, we are waiting for a decision from the Supreme Court after it heard arguments in 2 cases regarding transgender athletes. One of those cases is from Idaho. LGBTQ+ advocates say 27 states have enacted bans of transgender athletes competing on women's teams. At issue is whether those bans are permissible under the Equal Protection Clause in the 14th Amendment or Title IX. After Tuesday's session, some justices signaled they would be prepared to side with the states and their bans. However, several justices noted concerns they have about potential spillover effects beyond athletics. A decision is expected by the end of June. Also, a judge again delayed the murder case for the man who allegedly killed a Moses Lake woman back in 2022. And her family told us they now have to wait for a new defense lawyer because the current one stepped away. Yanira Cedillos disappeared on March of 2022. Moses Lake police say they found evidence that she was murdered in her apartment. Police arrested her ex-boyfriend, who now faces second-degree charges for murder and rape. The next court date is scheduled now for January 26. And right now, the Asotin County Sheriff's Office is asking for the community's help to find the person who shot a puppy multiple times with a BB gun. Deputies responded to a call about an injured puppy on Monday, and they took the puppy to the vet and say that puppy is expected to make a full recovery, but there is still 1 BB pellet stuck in the puppy's head. If you have any information, you're asked to call the Asotin County Sheriff's Office. That phone number is at the bottom of your screen. All right. We are taking a live look now as Scraps is giving an update on the parvo cases that have continued to plague the shelter. So far, we know Scraps will delay reopening its adult dog adoption floor after staff members identified new cases of parvo virus over the weekend. The shelter continues treatment, deep cleaning, and biweekly vaccine boosters for all dogs. If no new cases appear in the next 2 weeks, Scraps does plan to reopen the adult dog rooms. Meanwhile, puppies and cats remain available for adoption. They are kept in a separate area. We'll have the latest on the Scraps update coming up today at 4 o'clock.